Welcome to the HBR IdeaCast from Harvard Business Review. I'm Sarah Green. I'm here today with Edward M. Hallowell, a Harvard Medical School psychiatrist and the author of many best-selling books. His latest is called Shine, Using Brain Science to Get the Best from Your People. Dr. Hallowell, thanks so much for talking with us today.
Nice to be with you.
So it seems that the book is not just about how to get more out of people who are already doing well, but it's really about how to address issues of underperformance, except it's a different take on underperformance than I've heard before.
Yeah, usually people, when they talk about underperformance, say the solution is to work harder. Variations, probably the oldest peak performance message ever invented. Work harder, be all you can be. And it just doesn't work that well, particularly these days when the major engine is the brain. It's critical that you know how to get the most from that, and it's not by commanding people to work harder. In fact, it's by starting with the right selection of the right job matching the right person, and then leading to this force I call connection, which is really the turbocharge. Emotional buy-in. Emotion is really the on-off switch for peak performance. You can deliver a satisfactory performance without a lot of emotion. But you'll never be at your best. You know, to be at your best, you got to really feel excited when you walk in the door, and not that many people feel excited when they walk in the door to work.
Unfortunately, I think that's the case. Now, in the book, and I should also mention in your December 2010 HBR article, you talk about a process you called the cycle of excellence, and You've alluded to it a little bit here. Can you just quickly outline the rest of that cycle?
Sure. Well, it begins with selection. Again, finding the right person and the right job, the right brain matching up with the right task. And then creating this connected atmosphere in the workplace, this workplace that is infused with positive energy. And then moving on into step 3, which I call play, which is a deceptively simple word. It's simply engaging your imagination. You can be working at your hardest and be in a state of play, by my definitions. Just, is your imagination engaged? If your imagination is engaged, again, you're using your whole brain instead of leaving your most interesting part in the glove compartment, which is what a lot of people do, just sort of mechanically, robotically following instructions. That's nowhere near peak performance. And so you begin with selection, move to connection, and then imagination kicks in, and then, boy, you're at your best. And then you want to grapple. Then you want to work hard. But that work hard that comes out of selection, connection, play is so much more powerful than if you simply say work harder. Because then the person wants to work harder. Then the person wants to stay late. They're looking forward to the results of the survey or the results of the experiment, or they're looking forward to the presentation because they believe in it. And they have a team of people who are cheering them on. And that's the missing ingredient that so many corporations, so many organizations have these days, because they're living in a state of fear. They're living in a state of anxiety. They're living in a state of feeling overwhelmed. And they're getting overwhelmed by interruptions and demands and the latest bit of bad news. And so connection and imagination shuts down, and they just, so I'm trying to say, look, even when times are hard, especially when times are hard, you want to use these steps, and then as you grapple and grow, you make progress, and then you reach the final step, which is you shine. You're at your absolute best.
Well, I'm sure we would all love to jump to that sort of final stage, but since it is the first step, and since it seems like you have to get the first step right to get anything else right, let's focus a little bit more on this selection idea. How come so many people end up in the wrong jobs? Because
they don't think about it. They take the first job they're offered. They feel desperate. They go into the field that other people have chosen for them, their parents, some mentor. They want to please somebody. They don't really think about what am I good at and what do I like to do. And you really ought to think, to make best selection, you really ought to do an inventory and say, where did the following 3 spheres intersect? What am I good at? What do I like to do? And what is someone willing to pay me to do? You know, where those 3 intersect, that ought to be your job. That ought to be your career. What you like, what you're good at, and what adds value to the world, i.e., what is someone willing to pay you to do. You'd be amazed how many people are not in that kind of job. They're in the first job they could take, or they're in the job that has the most prestige, or that pays the most, or that their mom or dad or somebody wanted them to do, and they're wasting away. And then inertia takes over. The longer you're in the wrong job, the longer you tend to stay in the wrong job, until someone does you the favor of firing you, although it doesn't feel like a favor. And then you start over again. Desperate, okay, I'll take the first job I can get, or I use connections, and it's like choosing the wrong spouse. I mean, you can put in years of a okay relationship, but it's never going to be the spectacular relationship it could be. Same with a job. Until you find that place where you're doing most of the time what you're good at, what you like, and obviously what someone will pay you to do, you'll never blossom, you'll never shine. But the message of the book is for managers to know and for individuals to know, everyone has it in them to shine. Everyone. And you think you have to have a high IQ. No, you don't. In fact, there's a lot of miserably unhappy people who have high IQs. You have to have connections. No, you don't. You have to get lucky. Well, you make your own luck. And one of the best ways to make your own luck is by choosing the right job.
Now, in the book, you have some really interesting examples of people who either thought they were in the right job and maybe weren't, or people who weren't in the right job but thought that they were. How can you know that you are definitely in the wrong job?
When you feel like you're driving on square wheels every day, and you know that. When you feel like, when you walk in the door, okay, now I've got to put on my false self. Now I've got to try to be someone I'm not. Now I've got to try to get good at what I'm bad at. Now I have to do things I don't like, interact with people I don't like, appeal to customers who I have scorn for. Now I've got to do what I don't want to do, and we call that work. And it's such a mistake. Instead, you should open up realize that it is possible for work and play to intersect. It is possible for you to feel like you're bringing your whole being to bear in the workplace and get paid to do it. And lots of folks just don't buy that. They think, no, work means you got to suffer.
But, I want to just raise one cautionary note that you actually do raise, which is it's not just about following your dream, right?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, following your dream is another time-honored message, but it can be totally destructive. There's a lot of people out there following their dream, and it's completely the wrong dream. If I were trying to play center field for the Red Sox, it might be my dream, but it would be a colossal waste of time. So you've got to, yes, have a dream, but then ask yourself critically, does this dream make sense for me? Does it make sense for me to want to be a model if I'm way overweight and 40 years old? Well, obviously no. Does it make sense for me to want to be a CEO if I'm a terrible manager of people, if I'm really do my best work alone, at my drawing pad? Does it, examine your dream and criticize it in the light of reality.
So as a manager, if you find that you have a direct report that you suspect may actually not just be underperforming, but may just be in the wrong job, how would you go about talking to them about this or trying to figure out where they should be?
Well, in the article and in the book, I have a quiz you can give them, a real kind of instrument. You can just sit down and the key is to make it not feel like a performance appraisal. This is not something that's going to go in your record. You're not being rated or graded. But it's really saying, are we getting the most out of you? Are we giving you a chance to give us the most? And the step that's so often overlooked is am I plugging them into the organization in the right way? And you sit down, and once the employee realizes he's not being rated or graded, and he can be honest and frank and candid, they'll tell you. If you say, are we using you? No, you're not using me in the right way. In fact, half of my day is a grind, is a waste, and someone else could do it better. But I've been afraid to say that because I don't want to sound like I'm a complainer. I don't want to get downsized. I need the job. But you want to know, am I being used in the best way possible? No, I'm not. And you're doing the manager a favor by telling him that or telling her that. And most managers don't even think to ask it. They just kind of take it the way it's given, and everyone is in such a hurry. These kind of fundamental, second looks don't happen nearly often enough.
You raise an interesting point there where you say that, most managers don't ask, and most people don't want to sound like they're complaining. So how do you bring this up if your manager hasn't done you the favor of asking?
It's hard, and that's an important point. I call it the conversation. And that's why I wrote one of the points I stress in the book is asking managers to initiate. It's much easier if the manager initiates it than if the employee has to bring it up. Because when the employee brings it up, there's a tremendous amount of fear that he or she has to overcome. And sometimes managers won't take it well. You take that risk, but I would say it's a risk well worth taking. And then frame it with your manager in the right way. Say, look, I'm not complaining. I will continue doing what you want me to do. You're the boss. I will do anything you want. You're in charge. But I'm just saying, I think if you used me differently, the bottom line would improve. I could give you more. I could generate more profit. I could deliver more sales, whatever it might happen to be, if you used me in a slightly different fashion. Now, what manager will not want to hear that?
Dr. Hallowell, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
That's Edward M. Hallowell, and the book is called Shine, Using Brain Science to Get the Best from Your People. Dr. Hallowell's HBR article appears in the December 2010 issue of Harvard Business Review.